This video will give you an introduction to plotting three-dimensional functions in Maple. Suppose we have the function y equals x squared. We can graph this as follows. Plot 3D, open a set of parentheses, the expression for z, y plus x squared in this case, close the parentheses, and enter. Be sure not to type any spaces into your command line or it may not execute properly. So here, we have been given the graph of z equals y plus x squared, and Maple has chosen the viewing window for us for the x, y, and z axes. It has set the x-axis to go from -10 to +10, the y-axis to go from -10 to +10, and the z-axis to go from 0 to 100. We can also set the x and y axis to go between specified values. Suppose we want to graph this function but only on the interval where x is going between -3 and +6. To do this, in our command line, after we typed in the function, we can add a comma followed by x equals -3, 2 periods, and 6. This has now set our x-axis to go from -3 to +6, with the y and z axes still being auto-formatted. We can also set the y-axis in the same way. At the end of our x range, we can type a comma and type y equals, and whatever range we want the y-axis to range between. Suppose we want the y-axis to go between -2 and +2. We can type -2, 2 periods, +2, and the graph will now show the y-axis going from -2 to +2. The x-axis is still going between -3 and +6, and the z-axis is being auto-set. In the plot 3D command specifically, we are not allowed to set the z-axis. We can also graph multiple functions together on the same set of axes. Suppose we want to add the graph of e to the y to this picture. We can add that function here, next to the original function, by entering a comma and the function e to the y. Note that I am going to use the template under the expression tab to insert my e function. I click the e and type my specified exponent here in the exponent field. Please note that you cannot type the e on the keyboard to generate the e function in Maple. This will not work properly. Maple does not recognize the e on the keyboard as the exponential function. Once I have my two functions entered, I need to enclose them in square brackets. So at the beginning of my first function, I open a square brackets, and at the end of my last function, I close the square brackets. Now if I hit enter, Maple will display the graphs for y plus x squared and e to the y together on the same grid. Note that we can graph as many functions as we want on the same picture. Note also that we are able to move the graph to view the three-dimensional image from different viewpoints. Using the mouse, simply click on the graph and move the mouse up, down, left or right to view the image from different viewpoints. I hope that this video has been helpful in getting you started with basic three-dimensional functions in Maple. Please see our additional videos to learn more about different types of graph you can produce with Maple.